Hello everybody, RaspberryBeryl here, and one of the next things I wanted to try to do was reading to all of you the Star versus the Forces of Evil biographies that I made for my Queens of Mewni. If you've watched some of my videos with those tapestries, those are all my queens on my DeviantArt and Tumblr. And so I wanted to start reading some of their biographies. All of my Queens of Mewni are after Star though. So I do have a biography for Star, which is what I'm going to be starting with today. And it is of, like, the whole show, and I don't know how great I am at summarizing. But I also did add some stuff and change some stuff to make it more interesting to me, and I didn't like the Star versus ending all that much. So Star's biography is a bit long. I might be splitting it up into a couple videos. We'll see how it goes. But if you do just want to skip Star and get to Tara, that's good, I guess. Just to understand, the ending of the show is a bit different. And of course, you'll miss all the stuff that happens after the show in my story. Please forgive me if I stutter, hesitate, or mispronounce anything, and I hope you enjoy. Let's begin. Star Butterfly, the Underestimated. Born 998 a.m., died 10:59 a.m. She was the queen through 10:16 a.m. through 10:44, married to Marco Umbaldo Diaz. Children, Tara Lucine Butterfly. Star Butterfly was born on Torax 6, Day of the Stump, 998. She had wonderful little pink hearts on her cheeks and wonderful blonde hair like her father. Due to being born on the Day of the Stump, the kingdom decided to celebrate the princess's birth on Norvath 47th and not on her actual birthday each year, as to not upset the stump. From the start, Star seemed to be such an adventurous, excited little girl. Though most of her childhood, her parents were busy doing important things like running the kingdom and trying to rid it of monsters, and so she did not see them very often. While her parents were dealing with those affairs, the royal guard were her babysitters. They taught and trained the princess how to sword fight and exactly how to defeat the monsters if they were to come close to her. King River would sometimes take Star with him when he would go on his weekly journey to go and mess with a Cyclops monster named Tobit, who was always around the forest of certain death. The king found much joy from battling the monster, and the princess grew thinking that the monsters were weak things just to battle and spar with, and with no real value or individuality. 1000, many died in a battle with the monsters. The princess was kept safe in the castle while the people and her parents fought. Her mother's closest friend, a pig-goat little Chauncey, died on the battle as well. Although Star didn't know him well, she would miss him greatly. Queen Moon tried very hard to teach her daughter the proper etiquette and how to behave so she could be queen one day, but the little girl Star continued to be her adventurous, rebellious self. The Butterfly family, being the highest ruling family in Mewni, were good friends and allies with the Ponyhead family and all other royal families in the land of Mewni. King River was closest to the Ponyhead royal family due to his friendship with King Ponyhead when they were both children. Due to their close bonds, Star also got very close to the Ponyhead family and became best of friends with the Princess Lucia Ponyhead, later to be called Princess Ponyhead. Star and Princess Ponyhead would befriend many others throughout the years, especially when they discovered the Bounce Lounge dimension. There they would befriend Kelly, Kelly's boyfriend Chad, Johnny Blowhole, Headphone Jones, and Lady Scarf Salat, and the group would spend lots of time together and develop a very great bond. In the year of 1010, at the age of 12, the princess would go through a goth phase that would last 3 months. Ended when Queen Moon took Star and forbade her from continuing, saying that if she wanted to be queen one day, she had to come to an end. Star would attend her first Silver Bell Ball in 1011. There she would meet Prince Thomas Lucitor of the Underworld. The two danced and bonded that night, and he invited the princess to come and get corn chicks with him the next day. After several dates together, and reading a brochure about demon boyfriends, Star and Tom made it official that they were boyfriend and girlfriend. To celebrate, they went on a walk around the underworld, and Tom bought Star her famous demon horns. On Norvath 47th 1012, 1 week after the princess's 14th birthday, Star received her magic wand and the family spellbook. The wand remained in the form of a wand, now being purple, having white wings and a yellow crown at the top, and the crystal taking the form of a star. Star was so excited to have received her wand, and Queen Moon worried and told Star to be careful and be respectful with its powers, and to not lose it to the forces of evil. Queen Moon immediately took the princess with her after the wand ceremony and taught her the spell all princesses were to learn first, the whispering spell. Star was confused by why she had to know the spell, and she wasn't really even sure what it did, only that she should only use it if the wand was falling to the evil forces she had been told of. The first thing the princess decided to do with her wand after finishing with her mother was to bring a broom to life in a little shed and name him Doop Doop. She stayed and talked with him for a while, and then left him alone in the shed, not to visit him again for almost 2 years. The princess then created her most famous spell, the Narwhal Blast. Star soon found herself battling a group of monsters on regular who were after her magic wand. At first she was thrilled to have some monsters to battle just like her father, but soon found herself bored and frustrated by their frequent attacks. On Norvath 52nd, Star and Tom would get into an argument, and Tom would end up breaking up with Star that night. Star was so upset and frustrated about her breakup with Tom that the next day she decided to cool off by going and beating up Tobit until she felt better. Star went and found the monster, and was getting ready to aim her magic wand and give it a big narwhal blast among some other spells. And when she shot, she accidentally burnt a small village. Due to the destruction that the princess caused, her parents decided that she would need to be sent to another dimension where she could study and learn how to use her magic without hurting anyone in the Butterfly Kingdom. They held a goodbye party for Star, and she was not yet aware that they were sending her to the Earth dimension, and so did not enjoy the party as much as she could have. She didn't even notice that Tom had come to see her off. She feared that she was going to be sent to the horrifying St. Olga's Reform School for Wayward Princesses, where she had heard no princess was the same after they returned from. The princess was therefore overjoyed the next day to learn that she was in fact not getting sent to the Reform School. Queen Moon understood just how dangerous and sad that place was, and even though she wanted Star to learn to behave, she didn't want to lose her daughter. The night after Star destroyed the village, Moon and River spoke about it and decided to send Star to Earth and make her a foreign exchange student at one of their schools. They arrived at the school of Echo Creek Academy on Norvath 56th. The principal was hesitant to accept Star, but was happy to once the king and queen offered him gold and jewels. The principal assigned the best behaved person he knew, Marco Diaz, to assist and guide Star around the school. Star was very excited to meet him, but he didn't seem to feel the same due to not wanting to remain the safe kid, and especially after seeing her freaky magic powers. Star would then go on with her day, and then later meet the family she would be staying with, the Diazes. Star was even more excited to learn that they were the same Diaz family as Marco. She had just assumed that everyone's last name was Diaz on Earth. Star didn't quite understand Earth right away, and did get into a bit of trouble. Star liked Marco right from the start, but Marco didn't seem to feel the same. It wasn't until Ludo and his monsters came to Earth using their dimensional scissors to try to steal Star's wand that Marco would warm up to her. He got to see some of Star's more positive magic and show off some of his karate. And then Marco decided that he'd be fine with Star staying with his family on Earth. He said that he'd love to have to fight some more with those monsters, and prove to the other kids that he wasn't such a safe kid. Little did Star know that right from that moment, Marco started to fall a little bit in love with her. A few days after coming to Earth, Star got a visit from Princess Ponyhead, who was determined to make sure that Marco knew who Star's best friend was. Ponyhead took Star and Marco on an adventure using some magical dimensional scissors she found in the Bounce Lounge. In reality, Ponyhead was running from some guards from St. Olga's Reform School, where she had been applied to be sent. Eventually, King Ponyhead came and put an end to her little rebellion, and Princess Ponyhead was taken to St. O's. Ponyhead did manage to quickly give the dimensional scissors to Star, though. It did not take long for Star to become bored of Earth School. She failed many of her tests, and she didn't find it very fun. And in an attempt to make her teacher, Miss Skolnick, raise her grade, Star tried to cast a spell to make her teacher more beautiful so she could get a date. The spell failed, though, and her teacher was turned into a troll. The troll, Miss Skolnick, did manage to be in a relationship with one of Ludo's monsters for a short time, but it didn't last long, and she returned to teach the students and did not raise their grades. Although Star had the power and opportunity to turn her teacher back, she never did, and Miss Skolnick got used to it and learned to appreciate being a troll. On Norvath 84th, almost a month since Star had come to Earth, Star unexpectedly went through puberty, accomplishing her first dip down. She started to notice it was happening on her way to class after trying to talk to a boy named Oscar, and Marco told her she had something on her face. Star immediately realized what it meant and freaked out because she didn't know what she was supposed to do. Star feared she would attack and hurt people of Earth, and maybe destroy the school, and so Marco told her to stay in a locker while he went looking for her book to figure out what to do and how to stop it. It was there, after receiving the book from Janet, who had won it from Ferguson, that Marco met me, Sir Glostrick of Terms. I explained to him that puberty couldn't be stopped, and shouldn't be, and that it should end around 3 o'clock, or it just wouldn't. While Marco worked to gain the book and talk to me about the situation, Star entered her puberty cocoon and took her first puberty form. As most puberties go, she started gathering the opposite gender and entrapping them within her puberty goo. Star left puberty at the time I predicted and gained her puberty wings, which would, from there, start to grow and appear whenever she needed them. On Norvath's 92nd, Tom Lucifer came to the Earth dimension and invited Star to the Blood Moon Ball, hoping to make up with her and get back together. He showed Star that he had been taking anger management classes just for her, but even this wasn't enough to make Star say yes. Tom gave her a bell to ring if she decided she wanted to attend. The ball only happened every 668 years, and this made Star feel like she just had to go, but not because of Tom. Star went with Tom to the ball, despite Marco telling her she shouldn't. Marco then thought he heard the portrait of Alphonse the Worthy talk to him and tell him to go, and so Marco decided to follow Star. The ball was going well, but many of the demons there were dissatisfied due to the prince toning down the ball for Star. Then it was time for the Blood Moon to choose the 2 lucky souls to be bonded for eternity, and the DJ began playing the wrong song. Tom couldn't have anything go wrong and went to fix it quickly. While Tom was doing so, Marco quickly jumped in to tell Star to return to Earth with him, but right as he jumped in, the Blood Moon chose them, and they danced the Blood Moon Waltz in its light. Prince Lucifer was furious of this, and attacked the 2, pushing them out of this light, and just like that, it was over. The Blood Moon wouldn't return for another 668 years. Realizing this only made Tom more mad, and right before he could hurt Marco, Star froze him in a cube of ice, and then changed his badge to 0 days anger-free, and then left with Marco. Once they returned to the Diaz family house, Star expressed her frustration with Marco and that he should trust her to go to some ball and be fine on her own. Marco apologized, and the 2 went on to eat some popcorn together. Saganong 11th. Star and Marco were about to be late for school. They weren't really going to be late, but Marco was about to miss his special nod with Jackie Lynn Thomas, the girl that he'd had a crush on ever since first grade. Jokingly, Star cast a spell to freeze time, but it ended up actually working. Star and Marco then spent hours having fun, and then went to the school to unfreeze time and start the day. Unfortunately, when Star tried to unfreeze time, it didn't work. Star and Marco then quickly went back to Marco's house, and Star pulled out the magical book of spells and found the answer in Skywind's chapter. The duo then used the dimensional scissors that Ponyhead had given them and went to the Planes of Time dimension. Star and Marco searched for Father Time, who had been knocked off of his wheel. They eventually found him and spoke to him to try to make a deal with him to continue to spin the Wheel of Time, but in a different fashion so he could explore. Time was started back up, and Marco and Star got back to where they belonged quickly. Marco then decided to take the next step forward and speak to Jackie, advancing in his 24-step plan. On Gravnock 28th, it was Princess Ponyhead's birthday. Ponyhead was still at St. O's, but was allowed to have a call with Star. Star made special cupcakes and a birthday song for Ponyhead, and hoped she could go and visit her. Ponyhead was very thankful, but couldn't accept to the rules at St. O's. Star was very upset when she was told this, and told Ponyhead all about the party they planned at the Bounce Lounge for her. Ponyhead was so excited to hear that, but accidentally showed emotion and accepted, and so was then sentenced to go to the solitary confinement chamber. Hearing this worried Star, and so she and Marco used the scissors to go to St. O's so she could try to save Princess Ponyhead. Due to the special crystal in one of the towers, dimensional scissors wouldn't take them right to Ponyhead, and so Star and Marco got into disguise, and Marco's identity as Princess Turdina was born. They successfully snuck into St. O's and found Ponyhead. Sadly, they were too late, and Ponyhead had already been stripped of her individuality and hypnotized. They were starting to escape when Marco felt the need to step in and try to save all the princesses at the reform school. He shouted at them to not give up and to fight for their individuality. They were almost out when Marco got captured and put in the solitary confinement chamber. Star started to lose hope and started ripping up a poster on the wall, which awoke Ponyhead's rebel side, and she started to destroy the poster and get back to her regular self. Then together, Star and Ponyhead broke Marco out of the chamber, and Marco gave one last shout to the princesses of the school. "It's not criminal to be an individual." Princess Marco Turdina then inspired all the princesses and would grow to be their idol. Star, Marco, and Ponyhead were leaving, but then Ponyhead decided she wanted to stay at the school and party with the other princesses. Marco and Star said farewell and arrived back at the Diaz home, Star having now faced her biggest fear. That year on Independence Day, Star held a party at the Diaz's and invited all her friends from school, and together they reenacted Independence Day / the Great Monster Massacre. With Marco's help, Star realized that the humans were a bit hard on the monsters, and that the monsters were at a big disadvantage. Star then started to reconsider her view of monsters and decided to show a little kindness to the monster spy Buffrog by not attacking him and sharing her corn. On Gravnock 51st, Star and Marco decided to go on an adventure in the sandwich dimension to try and get the perfect sandwich. The two succeeded, but were only able to get half a sandwich, and almost got eaten by a sandwich monster. The two then began to argue because of this. Star wanted to go back and get more, but Marco wished that they had never gone in the first place. They continued to argue until they parted ways to their bedrooms after Star asked why they were even friends. Star laid in her bed and then began to realize how she was wrong. She walked to Marco's room to apologize and shared the sandwich, but discovered he was gone. She then went to ask the Diaz parents, but they didn't know where he was either. Star then went to Marco's room again to find a flyman monster waiting for her. He told Star that if she wanted to see Marco again, she had to come to Ludo's castle and bring the wand. Star thought that the ransom was from Ludo, and grabbed her scissors and opened the portal to his castle. Outside she found him and the frogman Buffrog with a big sack. She assumed Marco must be in the sack, and so ran towards them, but as she opened up the sack, she found it to be filled with tadpoles. Star demanded that Ludo tell her where Marco was, and Ludo told her that he didn't have Marco, or know who that was. Buffrog spoke up and says that she was talking about the boy who they called Karate Boy, and that it was no longer Ludo's castle, it was Toffee's. Star had no idea who this Toffee was, but didn't care. Buffrog and Ludo then agreed to help Star get into the castle, because they both had reasons they wanted to defeat Toffee. They entered, and Star located Marco being held in some glass-looking box. They had no real plan, and Star really just wanted to get in and save Marco. So, at the count of 1, she ran in and blasted the monsters who stood in her way. Toffee sat in a chair at the table and welcomed her, but she didn't care and blasted him on the floor, knocking off one of his arms. Star and Buffrog tried to hold the other monsters back, but even Star dipping down wasn't enough. They were captured and held before Toffee. Toffee showed him his Septarian powers by regenerating his arm, and told his monsters to stop, that it was no way to treat their guests of honor. He sat back down in his chair and pushed a button, making the glass case Marco was being held in go down, and so it would eventually crush Marco. Star approached Toffee and threw her wand down to his plate, telling him to take it. Toffee looked at her sternly and said that he wasn't like Ludo, and then went on to told one of his monsters to swallow Ludo, who it held in its mouth. Toffee then told Star he wanted her to destroy the wand, which surprised the princess deeply. Star explained to him she had no idea how to do that, but he assured her that she did. It was the first spell that her mother had taught her, the whispering spell. Star looked over at Marco and saw that he wouldn't last much longer. She agreed and looked down at her wand and started to perform the spell. After performing the part of the spell her mother had taught her, the ghost of the mill horse came out of the wand and whispered something into her ear. Star stood up and ran over to Marco, telling him and Buff Frog that it wasn't over and to run and hide. Star and Marco hid in the crystal box, watching to see what would happen next. Toffee looked at the wand and then said goodbye to his fellow monsters, and then just like that, the wand exploded, destroying the whole castle. Most of the monsters got away, but it seemed as if Toffee was gone. Ludo suddenly hatched out of an egg and asked where his castle was and where Star's wand had gone. Devastated to learn that they were both destroyed, he yelled at the princess, saying that they were no longer friends, and Star opened up a portal to avoid and threw him in. Star and Marco then looked down at the remains of the wand and hugged each other. Then a new mill horse approached them and entered the remains of her wand, and suddenly a crystal shot out of the ground and had a new wand inside. The wand looked about the same as the old, but only half the crystal remained. Suddenly, 2 knights came riding in on unicorns, and they were revealed to be Marco's parents, who had come to try and save him. They all then went back to Butterfly Castle, and Star explained to her parents what had happened. She made the mistake of not mentioning Toffee at all, though. Queen Moon took the wand from Star and quickly came to me and asked what I thought, and I told her all should be well as long as they found all the pieces. Sadly, they had not found all the pieces, and Ludo would later find the second half of the crystal with his bird and spider friends. The next day on Gravnock 52nd, Star attempted some spells with her new wand, which was working poorly due to only having half a crystal, and little did she know that Toffee was corrupting the magic. I, Glossaric, then used my riddle ways to trick Star into learning how to dip down when I trapped Margot in her secrets closet, and he began to read her diary in attempts to get out. Star took her next step into dipping down that day. She started learning much earlier than most princesses due to what I knew was to come. On Gravnock 54th, Star met her hero, legendary hero of Mewni, Mina Loveberry, when she was waiting in a dumpster for some expired donuts. Mina had come to Earth to take a break and vacation, which she much needed due to all the years she had been alive, leaving her a little crazy. Star begged, and Mina accepted to teach Star the ways of being a warrior. Star ended up teaching Mina much about Earth, but Mina herself had a hard time understanding the Earth ways. Eventually it became too much when Mina tried to make herself the ruler of Earth, and Star confronted her, and Mina ended up going back to Mewni, slightly saddened thinking she had lost her mud sister friend. On Gravnock 59th, Star was visited by Buff Frog and asked to babysit his tadpoles he had received from Ludo. Star was happy to accept, but lied and said she was an experienced babysitter, when it was really just her first time. Marco realized this and helped Star to keep watch of the tadpoles. Although unexpectedly, the little tadpoles grew and were quite a handful due to this. Nothing in the book Buff Frog had left them was able to assist them in this situation. Star was then able to keep the tadpoles under control by having them dance to Marco's ringtone. When Buff Frog returned, he was saddened to learn he had missed the development of his children's legs, but luckily his youngest Katrina had not yet. And when she did, she had the buffest legs of them all. On Gravnock 67th, I tried to teach Star some new spells, but she just wasn't in the mood and wasn't putting in the effort to do the spells. Star said she wanted to stop and go have some fun with friends, and I realized that Ludo was going to come soon and challenge Star, and so I needed to be in the donut box to prepare. Star and Marco just didn't understand what I was doing, and when the time came and Ludo was winning, I launched myself out of the box and defeated Ludo. Star and Ludo then learned the other had a wand, and Ludo learned that there was a book that he could steal to learn how to use his wand. The Butterflies and the Johansons had their annual family lunch meeting of the year on Spleenix 4th. The families argued and agreed to have their traditional game of flags to put an end to their arguing. Star was overjoyed to finally join the game of flags with her relatives, but her mother came and stopped her. Queen Moon made it clear that Star was to stay at the children's table with her cousins. Star was frustrated and told her mother that it wasn't fair. She got to play flags when she was Star's age, but Queen Moon explained to her that there were plenty of things that she did that Star wouldn't be doing. Star wasn't going to listen though, and she and Marco snuck away from the kids' table and joined into the game. Ultimately, Queen Moon had to transform into her butterfly form and stop the game before everyone killed each other. Star explained to her mother how she wanted to win the game for both families and stop the fighting. Queen Moon was brought to joy by her daughter's matureness and told Star she was proud of her. Marco would then run up the hill and win the game in the background for himself. Even though Star visited her home on Mewni much more now, she still spent most of her time on Earth. She continued to get bored in class, and one day she even let the school hamster go from its cage, which got her sent to the detention where she would make one of her closest friends, Jana Banana. Star could easily get herself out of detention, and so Jana decided to make Star mayor of detention to try to get her to stay. Star was hesitant, but went along with it. Jana and Star had a nice day together, trying to get batteries so they could all try to watch the wrestling while they sat in detention. They succeeded, and in the end, Star decided to make Jana her deputy and watch wrestling with everyone else. Princess Star decided to host a sleepover on Splenix 12th. She invited Jana, Jackie, Ponyhead, and Starfan 13. Marco decided to join them when they all arrived and went to play a game. They decided to play a game of Truth or Punishment with the box of truth that Ponyhead had brought. They began to play and had fun, but the punishments for lying got worse and worse, and so they all decided that they no longer wanted to play. The box would not let them stop, though, until they finished the game. They got to the last question, and the box asked them who they all had a crush on. They all said what they thought was the truth, but the box thought otherwise. Marco confessed to Jackie and gave a speech after he assumed he must have been the one who lied, but the box told him it was not he who lied. The group eventually defeated the box after proving to it that sometimes your heart and head don't agree on what you think, and you're not aware that you're lying. All of Star's friends then left the sleepover, saying they had enough fun for one day. On Splenix 14th, I took the princess into her wand to try and fix it due to it being contaminated. She was supposed to stick with me, but got distracted, and so we got separated. She was to go into the wand, searching for the thing that didn't belong. On her journey to find the thing, she found several things she encountered throughout her life. It was then she wandered into the royal castle, and then the royal tapestry room, that she finally found the thing. She was also reminded of some of her grandmothers, including her grandmother Eclipsa, the Queen of Darkness. When looking at all the tapestries, Star then found the thing when she came to her mother's tapestry. It took the princess a moment, but she then realized that Toffee was in her mother's tapestry, and he was the immortal monster that her poem spoke of. I found a way to get back to Star, and asked if she had found it. She hadn't realized it, but she had. Sadly, the princess had been in her wand too long, and there were several different versions of herself in the wand with her now. All the other stars entered the room, and just then Toffee's finger popped out of the tapestry. Star quickly grabbed the finger before the other stars could, and I threw her into my eye so we could escape. We both made it out, but we were covered in my eye goo. Star looked at the finger and threw it into her closet. Star did slightly fear Toffee could return from it. He was able to regrow his arm, but she saw him explode. She was sure that he was gone. And that is the end of Star's biography, Part 1. There are 6 biographies, sort of, but I might be able to fit some of them into the same video. And I hope you all enjoyed listening. And I want to say I got a lot of the information in this biography from the show, the spellbook, and Star and Marco's Guide to Mastering Every Dimension. So, like, the reason that Star was sent to Earth, that's from the spellbook. And Tom dating and breaking up with her, that's all from the spellbook. So, most of this one I do not make up myself. And so I'm just summarizing all the things. So, I hope you enjoyed, and we'll listen in for the next one. And if you have any nice music you think would work nicely for the background, please comment and let me know. And if you'd be interested in seeing any of my other things, please go check out my DeviantArt, RaspberryBeryl. Thanks, and have a good day.